Hi, everyone. Welcome to Voice of Our Own. I'm Allison Kinnear, and this is late night snack time. It happens every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock, and it's just where I talk about self care and parenting and life and just a little tidbit of stuff. And tonight I am going personal, folks. I wanted to talk to you about my emotional week that I had and like what I did because uh, it was a bit of a rough week. I think I mentioned in one of my posts, like there was a lot of tears. Lots of crying. Apparently, I am an emotional person. I really learned that this week. And there was a lot that I did in the moment to kind of help myself navigate that. And I think right now it's kind of an emotional time for a lot of people. There's graduations happening, there's big school transitions if you do have older children. There are, weddings that are happening. There's just a lot going on. So let me just describe to you, let's set the stage a little bit. So this last week, not this week, but last week was my son's last day of preschool. Now, preschool, he has been going to an outdoor school, a forest school, for the past 3 years. And this school has like changed our lives in a huge way. My husband was a teacher there. He's on the board now. I was a substitute teacher there. This forest school has just meant the world for us. And our son has like exploded developmentally. It's just this really magical place. So he goes there, and he also goes to farm school this year. It's just a new thing. It just started this year, so he's gone to farm school for 1 year, and he was just wrapping up his third year of forest school. And his last week was last week. And the way it worked was his last day of farm school was on Monday, and then his farewell ceremony was Tuesday, and then his last day of forest school was Wednesday, and then his farewell to forest school was Thursday. So it was basically like 4 consecutive days of saying goodbye. And I'll tell you, there is nothing that triggers me and my heart and like bursts it open. In fact, I will be lucky if I get through this without crying tonight. That bursts my heart open, like saying goodbye and going through a transition. And granted, nobody has passed away, nobody has died, but these big changes in life. When I just spoke to my brother, and he was saying how my nephew is starting his senior year of high school. And so there are people that are launching forward, about to leave the house. Some people are graduating high school. My niece is graduating high school this year. There are people who are getting married. There's all these big transitions that are happening. And my youngest child, after 3 years of being in this sweet little school, is going to start kindergarten, right? And so what happens in these transitions is there's like profound sadness and kind of loss. And then there's like really great joy and excitement, because I'm really excited for him to go to kindergarten. I'm actually really excited for that. I'm excited for him, and I'm excited for us and what that means. And these two feelings are like coexisting at the same time. And that can be really uncomfortable. So time we have these big transitions, we feel this loss and we feel this joy. We feel this sadness and we feel this delight and excitement and anticipation. And it can be a really rocky territory. So I want to tell you how I normally handle these kinds of transitions and what I did differently this time. So normally what I do when it comes to like a big event like this, because there were celebrations, all the families were gathering and we were having a ceremony for the children. Usually what happens is I have my pre-game cry. I like imagine what's going to happen and I cry it out the day before. And then I go in and I'm just like, lock it down. This is like, I have like 3 strategies that I used to use. This is the first one. Lock it down. Like game face. We're going in, and it is just going to be like, I just want to feel dead inside a little bit so that I don't have any emotion come near me. I just it was just like flattened way of being, right? Like no emotion. So that was like kind of walking in feeling numb. And to me, that was like my most successful outcome because that meant I wasn't going to cry in public. Okay. The second thing I used to do, because I would be on lockdown, is I would be trying to lock it down, trying to shut it down. And then because I'm an emotional person, the emotions would be coming. And then I would just have this like wrestling match. And I don't know about all y'all. You might be like these nice criers that I see. You know, when people cry, they're like, sorry, I'm getting emotional. And their face has literally not changed. It's like maybe there's like a little welling of a tear. I I am not that person. I am blotchy, like mouth contorted. Everyone knows that I'm either crying, about to cry, or trying not to cry. Like there is no, it is like full transparency. That's all that happens for me. So then so my second strategy is like try to lock it down, but then it's like, that kind of thing is happening. The third thing that normally happens is just flooding, especially if I'm not anticipating such a large emotional response if something kind of catches me off guard, where it's just like the crying just happens and it just won't stop, right? And it's just like I could just cry for days. And some of you who I know maybe have seen me in that state. So where it's just like it's just coming and coming and coming and I'm trying to stop it and I just can't. It's just pure flooding. So those are the three things that normally happen with me when it comes to these big transitions. So this time, farm school, I kind of got through. I was like, okay, had my pregame cry, and I just wanted to be present. I didn't want to be numb. I didn't want to be distant. I didn't want to be shut down, and I also didn't want to be like lock it up. I wanted to be there and just be fully present, let the emotions kind of come, but not get flooded. And at the farm school farewell ceremony, I felt like really great. I was able to do that. I cried a little, but it was like mostly just really pleasant and just enjoying and savoring these moments together, right? But then forest school happened. Oh, I can feel it coming. It was like, 3 years of our lives. It's huge, huge, huge. And see, there it comes. Ooh, blotchy. So forest school comes and I'm like, I have been crying all morning. And I get there and it's just like it hits me like a tidal wave. And I'm like, it's okay to cry. I have done enough work that it's okay to cry in public in front of people. But I was on the verge of getting flooded. It was like I was on the verge of like not being able to handle it. My husband was able to be there just for the first 20 minutes. And so I kind of stuck close to him. I cried. And then I was like, I got to get out there. There were like 50 people there. I was like, I got to get out of here. So we went into the forest. Thankfully, there's a forest. And I just kind of cried with him. And and one thing that I did every time I cried, I like shook it out. My mentor just told me this weekend, she's like, emotion is just energy in motion. It's emotion, right? Energy in motion. And I love that because I just did it now and it felt great. It's just like I cried, but I was like, woo, every time I cried, I just did this like shimmy. And especially in my hips, like, oh, I got to work this out. And it just like, my emotions went from here to like, whoo, here. Each time, just like, oh, I got to shake that out because it's just energy flowing through. And if you lock it down, it just stays trapped in you. And so I was able to like shake it off, but the tears were still coming. I felt like, oh gosh, it's happening. I'm like sobbing in front of 50 people. Let's go into the forest. And I was in there and I was like, oh, I felt like I needed something in my hands and I needed my rocks. Like I wanted a rock. And I said that to my husband. I was like, I just want a rock to hold on to. Now, mind you, we are standing in a forest. This is what happens when the emotional brain is just like completely flooding things. Your prefrontal cortex that like helps you like think kind of goes a little offline, goes a little skewy. And my husband's like, well, It's a good thing we're in a forest because I think there's a lot of rocks around. Sure enough, plenty of rocks to choose from. I picked up a rock, picked up two, and just like held onto them. And I was like, I need to go for a walk. So we just like walked in the woods. And again, it's like that motion, that movement, that grounding. And then he had to leave. And so I was like, oh boy, I'm on my own now. I went to the bathroom and I did this like brushing it off technique that I do, where I just like brush, 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 like brush all this sadness off. Because I wanted to be there for my son. I didn't want to be like the sobbing mess of a mom. I wanted to be there for him and I wanted to be there for me. And yet all these emotions were just stirring. So it was just like, okay, let's brush this off, shake it off, do some breathing, like intentional breathing, and like get myself centered and grounded. The other thing I did, I have a little mantra where when I'm nervous, I just say feet on the floor. Feet on the floor, feet on the floor, because I can feel my feet on the floor. Otherwise, I'm just like a floating head. You know how you just get in your head and you can't, you don't even, you like forget you have a body. It was like, nope, feet on the floor, stay grounded, hold on to my rocks, shake it off, breathe. And one of the other things that I did was, I'm usually an extroverted person. I actually know many of these families. I was a substitute teacher there. And so I'm usually really social and gregarious. And I asked myself in that moment before I walked out of the bathroom was, what do I need right now? Like, what do I need right now? And what I needed was to be alone. I just needed to be with me in my own little cocoon. And I was like, today is not the day to be social. Because every time someone would come up to me, I was like, they'd be like, hi. And I was like sobbing. So I was like, okay, this is, I don't have to be that social person. I get to just be me. And I went over, I found a place kind of off to the side. I got food. Ooh, shake it off, Allie. I got food, I ate, which is also really grounding. And I just made my energy, usually my energy is kind of big. I just made my energy like super small, like shrunken in like cling wrap to me so that I just wanted to kind of go invisible, but I wanted to be there. Like not invisible, like shame invisible, but just I don't want to interact with people and I don't want to draw people to me. So I just kind of shrunk my energy down. I ate, I sat on the ground, which is also very helpful, very grounding. And I just tried to call upon myself that was like, we can do this. I tried to call upon that part of myself that's like, this is going to be okay. Feel the feelings. Don't go numb. But we can get through this. So like we don't need to flood either. And it was, I'm telling you that the whole ceremony was like the whole event was 2 hours long. And that first hour was so intense. Like I had to pull, this is one of those things where when you're a coach and you support people on tools and how to kind of get themselves grounded and get themselves on solid footing, I had to pull almost all of my tools out for me. I had to do a lot of stuff beforehand, and I had to do a lot of stuff like in that moment and during. And I wanted to share it with you because this is an emotional time for a lot of people. So many people that I talk to are just, they're going through these big transitions. And there's a lot of stuff that we can do to help ourselves prepare for those days. And then there's all this stuff that comes up in the moment. And I feel like people don't really talk about that. They don't really talk about like, what can you do in the moment? How do you get yourself from either going numb or getting flooded with emotion? How do you keep yourself kind of settled and grounded and present and available? So I was like, that's it. I'm going to share my emotional week with people and hope that it resonates because I just, yeah. And because I think it's just helpful because nobody really taught me this. It's all a lot that I had to learn through my experience with coaching and therapy and just stuff that I've picked up along the way. So I hope it's helpful to you. And if you're having any transitions, let me know. And if you are like, wow, I can't imagine not being shut down or totally overwhelmed by emotion, let me know, because this is what I do. I talk to people, and one thing I wanted to say too, I have free consultations, and I'll put a link in the description below. But one of the things that I get questions about sometimes is people say, "Oh yeah, but I don't live near you." So much of what I do is over the phone. I have clients in Chicago, in Virginia, in California, in Washington State. A lot of what I do is over the phone. So don't, because people can't really get out of their houses and the travel time and working. Yeah, if you can create time for a 45-minute to an hour conversation that is focused on you, sign up down below. But right now, I want to see who's watching. Oh my gosh, my phone is all lit up. Fiona, hello. Bonnie, hi. Oh gosh, you've seen my emotion, Bonnie. My mom, hello. The other Bonnie. Esther, my mom also got to see all the emotions because she was there for the last day of farm school. I was like sobbing in the car. Ugh. 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 Erica, hello. April, hi. Katie, oh, hello. Karen, so good to see you guys. And if there's other people, oh, Melissa, hello, cousin. If there's other people, go ahead and put the links, or, do a little wave or whatever. That way I can see who's here. And sometimes there's a delay. When I watch the replays, I'm like, what? This person waved to me like 10 minutes ago, and I didn't see it until it popped up. So don't be offended if I don't acknowledge you right away. It's just technology is slow. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful night, full night of sleep tonight and always. I hope this was helpful. If you have any comments, leave it down below. And like I said, I'll leave a link to a free Catch My Breath consultation. You can't get any better than that. And yeah, take care. Have a great night.